I have spent 102 years on this earth. That is a number so large it feels abstract, doesn't it? To you, it might sound like a victory, a long life, a full life. But as I sit here in the gathering shadows of this room, looking through a window at a world that has moved on without me, it doesn't feel like a victory. It feels like a heavy, silent weight. I've watched the world change from horse-drawn carriages to machines that think like men. I've seen wars start and end, and the same mistakes made over and over again. But the most profound thing I have learned isn't something you'll find in a history book. It isn't a secret of science or a key to wealth. It is a truth so simple, so quiet, that it took me 74 years of active living to actually hear it. 74 years of running in the wrong direction before I finally tripped and saw what was right beneath my feet. You are probably busy. You have plans for tomorrow, worries for next week, and a list of things you think you need to achieve before you can finally allow yourself to be happy. You think you are standing at the beginning of a long, straight road. But I am standing at the very end of mine, and I can tell you that the road is much shorter than it looks. The minutes you are spending right now, watching me, are a currency you can never earn back. I am speaking to you now because I am the ghost of your future, and I am here to tell you that you are currently walking past the only thing that actually matters. Please, just for a few minutes, stop running. If you don't listen now, you will spend your final years, just as I am, wondering where the substance of your life went. My name is Elias. I am 102 years old. My skin is like thin parchment, and my hands, which once held the steering wheel of a fast car and the tools of a trade, now struggle to hold a simple cup of tea. I live in a quiet house where the dust dances in the light, and most days, the only voice I hear is my own. I wasn't always this still. For the better part of a century, I was a man of motion. I was a man who believed that the next milestone was where the real life began. I spent 74 years believing a lie. I believed that life was a ladder. I thought that every step up, the better job, the bigger house, the social status, the perfect reputation, was a step toward peace. I was a respected man in my town. I was an engineer. I prided myself on my logic and my ability to build things that lasted. But while I was busy building structures of stone and steel, the emotional architecture of my life was crumbling from neglect. I remember my 30s. They are a blur of caffeine and late nights at the drawing board. I had a wife, Sarah. She had a laugh that sounded like wind chimes, light and sudden. She would come into my office and ask if we could go for a walk in the park, just to see the autumn leaves. And I would look at her, truly annoyed, and say, "Sarah, I'm right in the middle of this project. If I finish this now, we can take a real vacation next year. A big one. Next year." That was my favorite phrase. It was a magic word that excused me from being a human being in the present. I remember my son, Leo. He was 6, and he had found a beetle in the garden. He wanted me to come and see it. He was vibrating with the kind of pure, unadulterated wonder that only children possess. I didn't even look up from my newspaper. I told him to go show his mother because I was reading about the stock market. I told myself I was doing it for him. I was securing his future. The big vacation with Sarah eventually happened. We went to Italy. We stayed in a beautiful hotel. But do you know what I remember most about that trip? I remember the argument we had because I spent 4 hours in the hotel lobby on a long-distance business call. I was in paradise, and I was worried about a construction delay 3,000 miles away. Sarah sat on the balcony alone, watching the sunset over the Mediterranean. I can still see the silhouette of her shoulders, slumped, quiet, resigned. She had stopped asking for my time. That was the most dangerous moment of my life, and I didn't even notice it. I thought she was just giving me space to work. The turning point came when I was 74. It wasn't a heart attack or a financial crash. It was a Tuesday afternoon. Sarah had been gone for 2 years by then. The house was a museum of her absence. I was cleaning out an old desk when I found a small, dusty box. Inside was a collection of things I had forgotten. There was a withered leaf from that autumn walk I never took. There was a drawing of a beetle, signed by Leo in messy crayon. And there was a letter Sarah had written to me on our 20th anniversary. I had read it back then, thanked her, and put it away. But reading it at 74, in the silence of an empty house, was like being struck by lightning. She wrote, "Elias, I know you are building a world for us, but I don't want a world. I just want you. I'd rather live in a shack with a man who sees me than in a palace with a man who is always looking past me. Please, come back from the future. We are missing you. I sat on the floor and I cried. I cried for the first time in decades. I realized at that moment that I had spent 74 years being a ghost in my own life. I had been a provider, an engineer, a citizen, a success, but I had never been a witness. I had looked at my wife, but never saw her. I had heard my son, but never listened. I had lived through thousands of days, but I could only truly remember a handful of moments. The rest was just noise, just gray, functional time that I had traded for things that were now sitting in a garage covered in cobwebs. The truth I learned is this: life is not a destination. It is not a goal to be reached. It is a frequency, and most of us are tuned to the wrong station. We are tuned to the frequency of more. We think that if we get more money, more fame, more security, we will finally be able to exhale. But more is a horizon. No matter how fast you run, it stays the same distance away. The real frequency, the only one that matters when you are 102, is now. It sounds like a cliché. I know. I would have rolled my eyes at my younger self if he told me this. But clichés are often just profound truths that have been worn smooth by repetition. Listen to me. Truly listen. Your life is happening in the seconds you are ignoring. It is happening in the way your coffee smells this morning. It is happening in the slight weight of your child's hand in yours. It is happening in the uncomfortable conversation you are avoiding with your partner. It is happening in the silence between your thoughts. I spent 74 years thinking that the big things were the life and the small things were the distractions. I was wrong. The big things, the career, the house, the reputation, those are the distractions. The small things are the life. When you get to my age, the career is gone. The house is a burden. The reputation is forgotten. All you have left are the memories of how you made people feel and how they made you feel. And if you didn't pay attention, you won't even have those. You will have a blank space where your heart should be. I see you through this lens of a century. I see your hurry. I see your anxiety. I see the way you look at your phone while the person across from you is trying to tell you their dreams. I want to reach through time and shake you. I want to tell you that the project that feels like life or death right now will be completely forgotten in 5 years. But the look of disappointment in your partner's eyes when you ignore them, that will stay. That will become part of the foundation of your loneliness. Stop waiting for the weekend. Stop waiting for the retirement. Stop waiting for the right time. The right time is a myth created by people who are afraid to live. Go to the park. Look at the beetle. Put the phone in a drawer and look at the person you chose to spend your life with. Ask them a question you've never asked before. Listen to the answer as if your life depends on it, because it does. Don't trade your presence for a pile of paper and plastic. Don't be successful at the cost of being human. I am 102 years old. My world is very small now. It is mostly this chair and the memories I managed to save from the fire of my ambition. I am lucky because I had those last few decades to try and make amends, to get to know my son as an adult, to sit in the garden and finally see the light change. But most people don't get a century. Most people run until they hit a wall, and then it's over. You still have the sun. You still have your health. You still have the people who haven't yet given up on you. Don't waste 74 years learning how to be happy. Be happy now. Not because everything is perfect, but because everything is temporary. Every breath you take is a countdown. You can spend that count on things that don't love you back, or you can spend it on the beauty of being alive. I am tired now. The light is fading, and my eyes want to close. I've told you what I know. The rest is up to you. The greatest tragedy isn't that life is short. The tragedy is that we wait so long to begin it. Don't wait. The world is waiting for you to show up. Please just show up.